emotional trauma of my life, the Dakinis moved in. They moved right in, and they came around me up on the hills here in Andalusia, and they hit me with two nudges. The first nudge was, how much beauty can you take? Mm-hmm. This is what I was getting all the time. How much beauty can you take? How much beauty can you take? And this was before I could even clairaudiently or subliminally identify who was saying that to me, which I can do now. I said, wow, that's a pretty interesting invitation, And then the other thing that came as a nudge was this message. We hold you to your highest desire. I said, wow, what the hell does that mean? This is a riddle that came right out of Gaia herself, right out of the earth, and registered itself in my mind, exactly in those words. And as I continue to live with those two questions, how much beauty can you take? And, and the statement, we hold you to your highest desire, it sort of set me up and prepared me, as if anything could have prepared me, for the impact of this terma, Now, what I would say about desire, I like to keep it really simple and close to the core. In the first place, look at the word. I wonder how many people know that the word desire is a shortening of the Latin word desideratum. The Latin word desideratum means that which is desired, that which you want. But when you break it down, it's from the Latin prefix de, de meaning from, and sedere meaning the stars. So desire literally means that which is from the stars. And I don't think that's merely an etymological gimmick, This force of alignment that brings us into connection with the earth and also with each other, because we desire each other. We desire the love of the earth. We desire the love of the mother. She desires us, and we desire each other in that same way. And this is an alignment from the stars. In some way, this power is like a crystal emanation from the stars that rays in on us and holds us into that alignment if we can bear it.
Okay.
This is desire in the supernatural and transcendental sense. And the real key to that proposition is if we can bear it. So do you see why the first question they asked me is a logical prelude to the second question? Okay? Because when you are aligned in desire to another person, when you are aligned in desire to anything that you would do, to casting a pot, to painting a picture, to climbing a tree, to doing a courting, when you are aligned in that pure stellar power of desire, you again are in her beauty. And that's what she lives in. She is a dancing planet, dancing like flirtatious lightning in a realm of glittering stars, you see? She's in the realm of desire. She created our experiment out of her enthemesis, which means her overwhelming, outrageous, audacious desire. You want to love, and everyone wants to love, and there is also the audacity and the daring to love, and that comes from desire. Vivi loves everything that is outrageous and audacious, and desire is outrageous and audacious. And it is pure. Desire is something pure when it is aligned with the innocence of the human heart. It's absolutely pure. You cannot desire anything that is not pure and true and healthy when you are in the innocence of your heart. You see? And so this power of desire, to be understood, I tell you, transcendentally, is the most fantastic liberation. And the whole path of Kali and Gaia is a higher path of liberation through desire. I haven't even begun to speak of this yet. Just now, I begin to speak about this, which is inherent to the term of Gaia awakening.
So there'll be more of this kind of transmission around desire.
The transmission is on, and transmission is flowering in this correction process. And it's thanks to the intelligence and the playfulness and the fantastic courage of people like you that this transmission can propagate itself.
There's something about the matrix falling away that frees us to feel desire in a more natural way. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course it does. Because one of the powers of the matrix, one of its tricks to enslave us, is that it induces false desire. It induces us to want things that we simply don't want, Come on, look at advertising. I mean, would you have a more screaming example of archontic deception and substitution? Instead of desiring my true desires and my highest desire, I am induced and enticed into desiring all kinds of things that I don't even want, So when that matrix crumbles, your desire will blossom. And it is beautiful, and it's a beautiful force of salubrity also. It's a beautiful force of health and well-being. To desire and to be desirable are beautiful and healthy things. And everybody really wants that, don't they? I mean, come on, let's face it. Let's put down the masks here, folks, Everyone really wants that. And there's such a great fear that we're not going to be able to have it, or, that we're not attractive, or that we're not desirable. The solution to those fears is, first of all, drop all fear. But also to just get into desire and let it show you. Let it show you what it can. Honor your desire. Please hold you to your highest desire. That is what. Okay. That is one of the highest teachings that I have ever received. They hold you to your highest desire. But do you know what your highest desire is? You see? That's the challenge, to know what it is.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Lolly. Will you discuss Sophia's seventh and final avataric identity and what that means relative to her remembering and initial conditions of the pact that she made with us, John?
Well, that's really quite a subject. And I haven't actually spoken of that in any of my interviews so far. I can tell, and I do enjoy these interviews with you so much, because I can tell that you really have looked at the material and really engaged the myth and made it your own. And that's the way it must be. It's not something that can be received externally. I used to read a lot of Chinese mysticism when I was 17, 18, 19. Calm me down. I needed something to calm me down. And there wasn't much that could calm me down because I was pretty much in a rage from the age of 17. But I used to read Chuang-Tzu a lot, the Chinese philosopher Chuang-Tzu.
I don't.
You ever hear about him? He was kind of like a generation after Lao Tzu.
Okay.
He was famous for the anecdote where he said he didn't know if he was a butterfly dreaming he was a man or a man dreaming he was a butterfly. He's like a Taoist philosopher. And one of the things that he said, I used to live by a lot, he said, the Tao can be transmitted, but it cannot be received. And that was sort of a koan that I lived with a lot in my life. And I think in certain respects it's true of the Sophia myth, you know. I mean, I transmit the Sophia myth, the Sophia vision story of the mysteries. It can be transmitted, but it cannot be received. Because anyone who actually receives it is themselves transmitting it, you see. It's that kind of propagation. And so when we of course talk about it among ourselves, and we develop the story and we evolve it and we live in the myth, and you receive insights about it from me, I receive questions and insights about it from you. But in the real dynamic, we're all transmitting it simultaneously. And when it comes to this question you ask, we're to the deepest, most intimate level of transmission of this myth. One reason I haven't talked about these identities so far is because I didn't, I'll just be really honest with you, I didn't want to sound too far-fetched, quite honestly, you know. I see that people engage in the Sophia myth due to its beauty, due to the huge natural appeal that it has to our imagination. It feels just right. Feels just right in the body, because it's a story about our source, the source being the planet. And it's the true story. It's what I call veracious. So I like working with the Sophia myth with people in the navigation project, for instance, or having these discussions with you. And I feel confident about it because I know that it's veracious, meaning that you find it in the veracity of your own experience, in the authenticity of your own experience. You find the truth of what I'm saying. Now, if I were to open the subject of the Turton's view of the 6 dream identities of Gaia, this gets into some very, very interesting, strange, deep territory. And I haven't talked about it so far. I've been kind of reticent. So I would appreciate the challenge. And at this point, I would like to say 2 things, okay?
Okay.
First is that Sophia began to wake into a lucid dream with humanity. That is to say that she began to see her dream that she was a character in the human imagination. Now, how can that be? How did that actually happen? How did that first breakthrough of dreaming happen? And it happened sometime between 1740 and 1780. It happened right at the time of the American and French revolutions, which was also the time, interestingly, that the whole massive New World Order globalist crime syndicate got up and running with the Illuminati and the Rothschilds and so forth. So she started to awaken at the moment that we, historically speaking, in this great cycle, started to slip into the real deep shit. And she was alarmed and began to awake. And so to talk about the 7th identity, she's now in the 6th, which is VV. And there's a 7th. But to talk of the 7th identity, first I want to go back to the 1st identity. Now, I've never said this before. The 1st identity of Sophia in her lucid dream was in an historical setting.